Wealth, Success, Happiness. Rewritten by the Stoics. What if we've been measuring life with the wrong ruler? Wealth, success, happiness. These are the benchmarks we chase. But how many of us ever pause to ask, whose definition are we using? Today, to be wealthy often means to accumulate. To be successful means to outperform. To be happy means to feel good all the time. But 2,000 years ago, a group of thinkers challenged that script. The Stoics. They lived among emperors and luxury, yet they taught that real richness comes not from how much you own, but from how little you need. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, was once a merchant. A shipwreck took everything he had, but he later said, "I made a prosperous voyage when I suffered a shipwreck." It wasn't the loss that shaped him. It was the clarity he gained from it. Today, we hear the opposite. We're told we are only as good as our output, that every hour must be monetized, that if we're not rising, we're falling behind. But the Stoics offer another view. Sometimes stillness is strength. They redefined wealth entirely. Plato, admired by the Stoics, said, "The greatest wealth is to live content with little." Not because poverty was noble, but because an untrained mind will never be satisfied, no matter how much it has. Look around. There are millionaires who can't sleep, CEOs who envy monks, celebrities who fear silence. That isn't wealth. That's spiritual debt, a constant owing to endless desires. To the Stoics, wealth is autonomy, success is integrity, happiness is living in alignment with nature and with self. Seneca wrote, "He is most powerful who has himself in his own power." That power doesn't come from status. It comes from discipline, from clarity, from saying no to things that look good but leave you empty. In this video, we'll explore how Stoicism reshapes the definitions we've inherited and how it helps us create our own. We'll begin with the illusion of material success. Then we'll explore Stoic success as a way of being. Next, we'll look at happiness not as a mood, but as a discipline. Then, the practice of training for loss. Finally, we'll explore how to build wealth that can't be taken away. This isn't a motivational blueprint. It's a return to sanity. The Stoic path isn't about retreating from life. It's about showing up differently, with perspective, with principle, with peace. If you're tired of chasing numbers, if you look successful but feel empty, if you're ready to trade frantic for fulfilled, you're in the right place. The Stoics won't tell you to stop achieving, but they will ask you why. They won't ask you to give everything up, but they will ask, who owns who? And they'll remind you, true success is not how many people admire your life. It's how deeply you admire your own. Let's begin. The silent burden of more, when riches own you. We've been taught to admire the rich, but the Stoics ask a different question. Do they own their wealth, or does their wealth own them? Modern success is often about accumulation. A six-figure income, a high-rise apartment, a luxury car, but all of it stretched thin. We glorify the hustle, but rarely ask what it costs. Epictetus, born into slavery and later a philosopher, warned us early, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. He didn't say wealth was bad. He said endless wanting is. To the Stoics, the danger wasn't gold or status. It was believing those things would ever be enough. Seneca, who lived with all the luxuries of Rome, once wrote, "People are frugal with their property, but with time they are wasteful of the one thing they should guard." We protect our money, but spend our attention on whatever yells the loudest. We upgrade our homes, but downgrade our peace. We buy more, but feel less. That's not wealth. That's exhaustion, pretending to be success. The Stoics weren't anti-success. They were anti-slavery to things that only feed craving. Let me share a story. A hedge fund manager once said he made more in 1 year than his father did in a lifetime. He had the house, the art, the staff. But in the same breath he said, "I check the market 45 times a day. I wake up in panic. I don't sleep." Seneca would have looked him in the eye and said, "You are not rich. You are owned." Now contrast that with a friend of mine. She earns modestly, walks every morning, deletes social media on weekends, and says, "I have enough. I like who I am." By society's standards, she's average. By Stoic standards, she is rich beyond measure. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And here's the paradox. The more you chase what's outside, the less control you have inside. So what does that mean for us? It means we need to redefine what it means to be rich. Not in terms of what we show, but in what we can endure. Not in what we've gained, but in what we've let go. Not in praise from others, but in freedom from needing it. Try this practice. Ask yourself, what in my life looks like luxury, but feels like a leash? Is it a lifestyle I can't afford? A status I feel I have to defend? A habit I picked up just to fit in? Now go deeper. Ask, if I lost this tomorrow, what would remain untouched in me? If the answer is nothing, you haven't built wealth. You've built a cage. The Stoics weren't minimalists in a trendy way. They were minimalists of need. They believed we should be so rooted in our values that nothing external could shake us. To be truly rich is to walk through life with a light grip. To own things, not be owned by them. In a world where identity is tied to titles, brands, income, and image, Stoicism brings us back to one truth. The things you think you need, you don't. The things you overlook, you do. That's from Marcus Aurelius. Real wealth is not out there. It is peace within. It's knowing you can live without chasing, without proving, without panic. And more importantly, knowing that if it all disappeared, you would still have yourself. That is the kind of wealth no economy can touch. So before we move forward, pause. Look at what you call success. Ask yourself, does it expand your freedom or shrink it? Does it bring peace or anxiety? Does it grow your soul or just your reputation? Wealth is not what you carry in your wallet. It's what you carry through any storm and still remain whole. That's the Stoic starting point. And from here, we build. Happiness isn't a feeling, it's a choice. What is happiness, really? Excitement? Joy? A string of good days? The Stoics disagreed. They saw happiness not as an emotion, but as a way of living. Chasing good feelings leads to disappointment, because joy from praise or success is temporary. And worse, it's outside your control. Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding. Some things are within your control, and some are not. You don't control outcomes, you control effort, values, response, and that's where real happiness lives. If you treat happiness as a feeling, you'll chase it endlessly. But if it's a result of integrity, courage, and wisdom, it becomes steady, even in hard times. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This isn't toxic positivity, it's resilience. Joy that doesn't break under pressure, meaning that survives setbacks. Take a modern example. A man loses his job, spirals, feels lost, then remembers, you are not your role, you are your reason. He shifts, starts tutoring, earns less, but he's present, grounded, content. That's Stoic happiness, quiet, earned, real. The modern model says, buy more, optimize, chase, but that kind of peace is fragile. The Stoic model is sturdier. Build joy on values, not variables. A wise man is content with himself. True happiness requires self-knowledge. If you don't know what matters to you, the world will sell you what matters to them. So ask yourself daily, did I act with integrity? Did I grow in courage, justice, wisdom, moderation? If yes, you're building something stronger than comfort. You're building meaning. Because happiness isn't ease, it's earned. Even suffering can be meaningful when life is lived rightly. James Stockdale, shot down in war, tortured for years, didn't survive by clinging to hope. He survived by anchoring in character. I never doubted not only that I would get out, but that I would turn this into the defining moment of my life. That is Stoic happiness, not a feeling, but a practice, a philosophy, a muscle. You can build it now by asking better questions, by living more intentionally, by measuring life not by mood, but by meaning. Training for loss, why choosing less builds more. The Stoics knew that true strength is trained through discomfort. Practice poverty, not to be poor, but to become free. Seneca had wealth, but regularly slept on the floor, ate simply, wore rough clothes, not to suffer, but to detach, to prepare for loss before life forced it on him. Because when you rely on comfort, its absence controls you. But if you've practiced with less, you stay powerful, even when stripped of more. Modern life teaches the opposite. Avoid pain, upgrade always. But the Stoics ask, what happens when that's gone? Today, this looks like a weekend without spending, a day without your phone, using what you already have, walking instead of driving. Not to punish, but to remember, you are more than your habits. One client of mine feared layoffs, not because of money, but because he'd built identity on always climbing. He did a voluntary downshift week. No tech, no takeout, no upgrades. By day 3, he felt something shift. I remembered who I was before the chase. That's the power of less. It clears the noise, reconnects you to purpose. It builds confidence that isn't based on performance. It is not poverty we should fear, but the fear of poverty. That's what enslaves us. Here are modern ways to practice. Digital fast. One day without your phone. Notice urges. Journal what arises. Buy nothing week. Delay every purchase by 48 hours. Ask, do I want the thing, or what I think it'll give me? Dress down. Wear old clothes. Skip luxury. Shrink the ego. Set a cap. Limit spending. Notice how little you truly lack. Embrace inconvenience. Take cold showers. Carry your groceries. Walk more. Train the mind, not just the body. Because when life takes something away, you don't panic. You've been here, you're okay. This isn't about glorifying lack. It's about removing fear. So when loss comes, you don't lose yourself. That is the Stoic kind of wealth. Confidence that doesn't depend on comfort. Gratitude that isn't loud. Power that doesn't need permission. And that inner wealth, that's where we go next. How to become unshakably rich. There's a kind of wealth the world can't measure. It doesn't show up in net worth, followers, titles, trophies, or 10-figure exits. And yet, it's the most important wealth there is. The Stoics called it inner wealth, the only kind worth building. Because anything external can be taken, but who you've become stays. The things you think you need are rarely the things you truly need. So, what is inner wealth? It's staying calm when others panic, acting rightly even when it costs you, choosing stillness over reaction, knowing who you are, regardless of what happens. Seneca called it a fortress built inside the soul. And here's the best part. It's available to anyone. No background, no title, no inheritance. just practice, repetition, intention. The Stoics built it through 4 core virtues. Wisdom, seeing clearly, without distortion. Question assumptions, pause before reacting, prefer reason over impulse. Journal what you learned, not just what you did. Study timeless thinkers, not trending noise. Courage, not bravado. Moral stamina, tell the truth when lying is easier. Stand up when silence is safer. Try again after failure. Obstacles aren't interruptions, they're invitations. Justice, often ignored in self-help, but central to the Stoics. Act fairly, offer kindness, protect others. It's doing what's right, especially when it's inconvenient, especially when no one's watching. Temperance, not self-denial, self-mastery. Eat when hungry, rest when tired, know when enough is enough. In a world of excess, restraint is rebellion. Together, these build a life that doesn't collapse under pressure. A wealth not built on applause, but endurance. Not on display, but on depth. Let's be honest, it's not glamorous. It won't trend. It won't go viral. But it will give you something better. Peace, dignity, presence. Imagine losing your job, but not your purpose. Facing criticism, but remaining kind. Seeing others rise faster, but staying rooted. Earning less, but living more. That's unshakable wealth. Built in moments, quiet ones. In small, repeated choices. In walking your values when no one's watching. So ask yourself, what if success was something you felt, not flaunted? What if progress meant integrity, not output? What if you became so grounded in who you are, the world couldn't shake you? That's the invitation of Stoicism, to become not just rich, but undisturbable. Because one day, life will shake you, and you'll want a foundation no one can take. Let's close this journey together with one final reflection. A wealth that cannot be taken. True wealth isn't what fills your account, but what holds you together when things fall apart. It's not digits, but discipline. Not possessions, but perspective. Not applause, but alignment. He is a wise man who does not grieve for what he lacks, but rejoices in what he has. Enough clarity to know what matters. Enough courage to live it. Enough self-trust to walk your own path. You may not win every race. You may not go viral. But if you wake up calm, act with intention, and sleep at peace, you are already wealthy. The Stoics never promised comfort. They promised readiness. Not passivity, but presence. Not success without effort, but self-respect through effort. Real success isn't what the world gives. It's what the world can't take. You are not what you have. You are what you choose. In silence, in stillness, in suffering. Start again. Don't try to control the world. Master your response. Let others chase trends. You build the kind of wealth no one can shake, one breath at a time. One courageous act at a time. Because true wealth isn't what you show, it's who you are when there's nothing left to prove. That is Stoicism. That is success. That is freedom earned.